Well, welcome. Tonight we're going to talk about a very special place in Milford with very special Milfordians of many different cultures, of all sorts of different languages. I think we've already talked about 3 or 4 in the warm-up to the show. And then, all kidding aside, people who really do put their heart and soul into taking care of Milford's kids. So we're going to start with an introduction.
Hello, I'm Jen Ward. I'm the director of the Milford Youth Center.
I'm Katie Covell. I'm the assistant director of the Youth Center.
I'm Amanda Copeland, and I'm the program coordinator at the Youth Center.
And now the new babies.
I'm Marissa, and I'm the youth leadership coordinator at the Milford Youth Center.
I'm Igor Freeman, and I'm from the Youth Council.
I'm Sebastian Suarez, and I'm from the Youth Council.
And next to Sebastian is our invisible friend who's helping us out directing tonight.
Miss Evie Lima.
And Evie will be joining us from time to time when she gives up the control panel.
Mm-hmm.
Jen, the Youth Center. I mean, people couldn't be prouder of what it's turned into. I mean, there's some of us who remember back in the 70s when it was called the Armory, going down on Monday nights in the freezing cold because the National Guard wouldn't put the heat on to play ball hockey. And that was about all that went on there except the Armory.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I'd say a few things extra go on there.
A lot of things. It's busy morning to night, weekdays, weeknights, so weekends. There's so many programs going on, and we're really happy with where it's been able to go, especially after the renovation.
What made the Youth Center what it is today? There was an inflection point at one point.
I mean, I think there's a whole history of really what made it what it is today. I mean, there's so many families, there's so many people from this community that's never given up on it, and which has allowed it to become this safe haven for kids in this community. So I don't think there's one thing. I just think it's the community never giving up on it, and finally the funds allocated to make it safe and accessible to everybody.
Well, when it originally started, a lot of people, even on the FinCom, and I was one of them, who really didn't agree with the Youth Center mission, because we were told that it was only for at-risk kids, and nobody else really was welcome. And that bothered me, because I came from the Heights, and I never knew I was an at-risk kid. And I didn't like the labels being put on. And we kept saying, if you can make the Youth Center into an area for all of Milford kids, then we'll fight for support. And originally the first board kept telling us, no, it's not what they wanted. So I think it was hard to get a lot of support when, and I'll admit it, when I'm being told I'm not welcome there, kind of hard to support it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, I understand that. I do think that even after that reputation still existed, even when I started, which wasn't really the truth. We always would tell people to come in, but I think the reputation always stayed, and then people didn't feel comfortable always having their kids go there. And I think once we really started encouraging the community to come see what we offer, and especially after the renovation, I think that really is what brought a lot of people that might have not stepped in the doors prior to see how beautiful of a space, how amazing it is for a community to offer something like that free of charge for their children. I think that's really what changed the reputation, and then now I don't think we have one kid from any part of Milford that doesn't attend that center, and I think that's what we always wanted. I mean, I can't speak for people prior to when I was there, but that's always been my mission since I've been involved in the Youth Center, and everybody here, I believe, has the same idea.
Well, even this year you had a little special event there.
The Melange.
The Melange. I mean, that is Milford's, star event, of, Black Tie Affair. Once a year, everybody that wants to help, that can help the hospital turns out.
It was amazing. I have never seen such a transformation. It was we were very lucky and happy to be a part of it, and then to be able to witness it firsthand and see the the generosity from the community. They raised over $1 million.
$1 million bucks.
Yep.
Yep.
Who would have thought you could raise in one dinner $1 million?
We need some tips because we aren't able to do that at our fundraisers. So, yeah, I mean, that was a great collaboration. Katie and I worked firsthand with a lot of the representatives from the hospital and was so impressed with how they were able to pull that together and for choosing the youth center because I know it wasn't an easy location. They had to use across the street and they had to shut down the roads.
Yeah, but it was so cool. They set up that tent on the basketball court, and it was all heated, and they had those weird people.
The living statues.
Is that what they were?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you want to walk in and poke one, but then when it starts moving, it's like, I'm not touching it. But the food was incredible. They said they set up an entire kitchen outside.
They did.
On
Yep.
the right side of the building, in part of the driveway around, Morin's had their tent outside where they were going in through the side doors to plate around the food.
You know, Emily is just an incredible organizer. But, you know, $1 million, you know, when I think about it, when I grew up, you could have bought Milford for $1 million. They would have thrown in Hopedale and maybe Mendon. You know, and now all of a sudden, you know, it's at the back of raising $25 million to build a new ER. And I was just so proud that they picked our youth center.
I was too. I was surprised, and I was very, very happy with the outcome.
And the way the youth center looked.
And to come in on Monday morning, and it was all back to normal, and we were like, what?
Yeah, we had an after-school program that Friday, and the event was Saturday.
Yep.
So the transformation, I still can't believe it.
It must have been hard to come in on Monday saying, "Aw."
I know, we wanted them to leave it up. I was like, can you just leave up that backdrop for a little longer?
Yeah, it was just incredible.
It was.
You know, and it just shows that Milford has accepted the youth center to take our most glamorous event and have it there. You know, and then for everybody to turn out.
Yeah, they had the highest attendance, over 300 people.
Yes.
It was nice to get all those people into the youth center to kind of see, and we had stuff that we would still leave up, so they kind of saw a little bit what the youth center does too. So,
but you get a good flavor for the potential of that center because you had to walk around. You know, I remember the first time when they did the renovations, the balcony. I was so mad. Because when I was a kid, they always told us that the balcony was going to fall down so you couldn't walk up there. To find out they were lying to me. They just didn't want us up there.
I'm sure it wasn't that safe, but...
No, but still. I mean, all of a sudden, it was the first thing I wanted to do was walk on the balcony.
I know. The
say,
moment you tell a kid no, they want to go on it.
No,
so.
that was it. I mean, you know, that was 25 years later, I get to walk on the balcony. But now, it's wonderful that Melange went there for a night. It's wonderful that they put their stamp of acceptance, that of all the places they could have the event, they brought it to the youth center. But more important, there's 364 other days going on. You know, why don't we start with the back row? Tell us who you are and why you're at the youth center.
So my name is Marissa. I am the youth center's AmeriCorps member. And I actually started as like a part-time after-school staff, but Jen actually reached out to me in September, and asked me if I would be interested in the role. And now I run the youth council, and it's awesome. I have these two that are in my youth council. We actually just had a meeting today, and they're great.
I'm Igor Freeman, and I'm from the youth council, and I've been going to the youth center for a while now because of their summer camp program, and I used to go when the building for the youth center wasn't even this building; it was this house, and I've been going there because their programs are so fun and everything, and their snack programs and their dinners are delicious, and the open gym where you can just hang out with your friends. There's dodgeball, basketball, soccer, many things you can do. And then just the fact that you can just go out of school, hang out with your friends, it's just fun. And just there.
My name is Sebastian Suarez, and the reason I go to the youth center is because I don't have a lot of friends that I can hang out with. So I just if you go there, you can make new friends, you can meet new people, and it's just made it so they're so after school there's a fun place that I can go. I can hang out and with my friends and stuff.
What do you think is the most important thing the youth center does?
I mean, definitely like provides like a place where kids can go and like feel like, you know, like they belong to something. Because, you know, like not every kid has like a great home life or anything like that. And like I feel like the youth center is there and it's like available for them to like, you know, get out of like a situation that might not be like great for them to be in to like in the first place. So I feel like the best part about it is that it is there and it's an option for kids that otherwise, you know, might be like in a terrible home environment and like just don't really have any other ways of getting out of it.
Yeah, but now, what I've seen the change over the decades, now I'm feeling old, is there's a lot of kids that just don't associate with after-school programs.
Mm-hmm.
So they may have a wonderful home.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, every kid's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I think is what we're seeing. So we have kids that might be coming there because they need it. You know, there's either they can't pay for aftercare or it's a safe haven, but we have kids that come just for maybe a specific program because they're interested in the youth council. They're interested in our boxing program, which is twice a week. It has been so popular since we started that in November. Or they're just interested in shooting basketball every day. Some kids might be coming in because they actually need a dinner, and because we provide dinner every day after school now and a snack in the evening time. So I think we're just providing a space for whatever the need is, and it's not specific to just the kid that is in need. It's to whatever is for any child that's any option is out there for them here at the youth center.
So what brought you to the youth center?
I came to the youth center about 2.5 years ago, and I've worked with kids before. I was a strength and conditioning coach, and I worked up at the high school for a couple years and over at a local gym. But I found that when I was working there, I really was drawn to kids. I coached basketball, and I wanted to be more involved, and this opportunity arose, and I applied for the position. And when I started in August, it was just awesome. I got a little taste of summer camp before school started. And
I left her.
Jen did leave me to go on vacation to run it by myself, but I did fine. We survived.
I had no doubt.
But once the after-school program really started and I started getting in my role as to what that whole building provides for the town, whether it's the after-school program, any of our morning programs, our rentals in the evenings and the weekends, it's providing something for everybody.
I'll ask you the same question.
I came to the youth center in October of of 2018 after teaching for a year. I kind of fell out of love with teaching, and Katie and I have known each other for a little while, and she had said, hey, you know, this position's opening up, you should take a look at it. And as soon as I read the job description, I knew it was where I wanted to be. I absolutely love working with kids. It's just something I've always enjoyed. I've worked with kids since I was 13, since I was a kid. So it's been something that's heavy on my heart forever. I grew up in Hopkinton, so in a little bit of a different environment, and I always wanted to come home, so to speak. So Milford Youth Center was a great opportunity for me to get to see some other parts of the same area and to interact with kids that I wouldn't usually get to interact with.
Now, years ago, we were worried that only 50 kids came to the youth center.
Oh my gosh.
I understand the numbers have grown a little.
Just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
So we had a former staff member of ours, Joe Graziano, come down and visit last week, and he's like, how many kids are you getting in today? And I was like, what was yesterday's? Because it was just such one of those days where you really felt how many kids we had, and it was 141. So that was just in one day, and we have over, I think it was
403.
Yeah, and we have 403 as of now, and that's from September to today. So 403 different registered kids. We see at least 140 in the wintertime each day, and that's unduplicated youth. I always use that word because someone always tries to tell me that maybe it's all these different, the same kids signing in, and we have an awesome system now that calculates everything.
Unduplicated youth.
Unduplicated.
So the youths duplicate.
Oh, God.
Mother Suarez may be upset if all of a sudden
Never.
3 green-haired Suarez come home and he says, I've duplicated.
Yeah, we track everything now with the system, so it's nice because it's not only for when we have to come in front of the finance or selectmen to just kind of give an update on the programs, but it's for our grants and for just us as a staff. We always have goals, and every year we want to increase our numbers. We want to be providing more opportunities and more programs and, you know, everything that we can for the community. So,
If you were to look at the youth center, what does it provide? I mean, the high school's got a pretty active after-school program. You know, a lot of the schools, the library, we fund Miss Sue to have, you know, extra programs. But if you sat there and said, we need the youth center because...
So I mean, beyond just my love for the building and the program from when I've started here, it's really become a community center. So every Tuesday we have a baby group that we have started for the last 2 years now, and it's become very popular. We have respite groups coming in and using
wait a minute, a baby group?
Like a play group.
a play
kids
group.
play
Sorry, a 0 to 5 play group that our staff runs, and then parents and their child come or guardian come with their kids. So that's once a week.
This is when?
Tuesday mornings, Tuesday afternoons.
Okay.
So before the after-school program. We have rentals in the morning. We have a respite center from Hopkinton that comes in. We have batting cage rentals in the morning. We have senior walking we started in November and we run probably till February. Every Tuesday and Thursday we have seniors come in and walk because it's too cold outside. We have an adult open gym that's actually tonight that we provide for the adults that want to use the gym space but that might not be able to rent out the whole facility. And then outside of that, I mean, we have the free after-school program every day from 2:15 to 6. And then rentals come in from 6:30 to 10:30 at night. And then the weekends, I mean, yes, last Sunday we had a Knights of Columbus free throw contest, Milford softball, Milford baseball, and then a volleyball group in.
They were throwing Knights of Columbus?
Yeah, they were.
I'm a Knight of Columbus, and nobody could throw me in my way.
So, I mean, I think if you walked in any time of the day, you would see that the community is using this, you know, and that's, I think, what the town wants to see, and I think what we really become very proud of, that it's not just the after-school program. We're creating programs outside of the after-school program, and we're also providing space for the community as well.
Now, you do a little bit with the rentals.
Correct. Katie is our
little
awesome coordinator of all rentals.
Why are we renting?
So to fund the youth center, the town covers Jen and my salary and the utilities for the building, along with some of our maintenance budget. But other than that, our other full-time staff and our part-time staff and our programming is totally covered by fundraisers, grants, donations, and rental revenue. So renting the facility after hours helps bring in funds for us to be able to support our after-school program.
But it also expands the reach of the youth center, right?
So we have our main sign-in system also is up. We have all our forms up on the wall. We have a bulletin board with all these opportunities. So when those rental groups come in at night and they're like, oh, we have practice at the youth center, but they may not know that we have an after-school program that their child can also attend. We have our flyers along the front desk so that anybody who comes in on the weekends or weeknights can also see what else is going on during the rest of the day.
So what kind of organizations rent from the youth center?
All sorts. I have individuals that will rent out a batting cage or a half gym if they want their kid to get some more practice. They have someone coming in. I have teams that rent on a regular basis that throughout every season all year round between basketball, baseball, volleyball, cheerleading. Some teams do like their end of the season get-togethers. We had a youth flag football end of the season party a couple weekends ago. And then we have an Ecuadorian volleyball group that rents probably from November all the way through the end of February, at least 2 nights a week for hours on end for their community to come in and play volleyball. We have dance groups come in to rent
Now,
space.
if I remember when the Special Olympics ran into trouble, because we didn't have enough gym space. I remember Bob Littleton down at the Evergreen Center volunteered, but his gym was too small.
They come on Monday nights.
I was going to say, didn't you all jump in and help them out where they had no money?
So they come on Monday nights and they play basketball, and we actually have a nice gym divider now too. So we can divide that space to make it more friendly to everybody. So if a person wants to rent a half court, it's not like, oh, I got to chase my basketball over to the court if there's another group in. It's really nice. We have the gym divider comes down. We can put 2 groups in there at one time. So they do Monday nights, and we also have a YMCA Healthy Kids program that does the other half of the gym at the same time.
Healthy Kids program.
Yep, it's a nutrition and a fitness program for kids to learn kind of more about keeping their bodies active and to be more aware about what they're putting into their bodies.
So the divider was a good investment?
Definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
And it helps our programming after school too.
Yep.
So today we had dodgeball. Instead of having dodgeballs flying all across the gym, you just keep it on one court. You can have an organized game, and then after the game's over, you lift the court and it's free for all again.
It worked out.
Yeah. I remember we tried figuring out, is this going to work? And weren't there bleachers too or something?
We have portable bleachers, 4 sets of 3 rows that we're able to move and coordinate with whatever group we have.
Oh, that's really good.
Thank you.
Thank you to the residents. I mean, town meeting, you know, it's funny because when you think about everything you read, it's how everything's being cut. And yet in Milford, somehow our town meeting members always seem to find money when we have to take care of our kids. You know, I mean, I've been criticized when I got up on town meeting floor and said, I don't need anybody from Beacon Hill in Boston or Capitol Hill in Washington to tell me as a Milford resident how to take care of our kids. Somehow, town meeting always steps up. I can't remember one time where they've turned their back on our kids. You know, and the dividers, and I mean, it was small, but seems like it's helping.
Helps everybody.
It is, yeah.
Now, the air conditioning working?
It hasn't been installed yet.
It's outside right now.
We hope so. I mean, it was we spoke to you at finance and obviously at town meeting, where it's been very uncomfortable.
That's right, it was only in the spring, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so it hasn't got installed yet, but it will be by summer, and we are very much looking forward to it.
Why did we need air conditioning?
I mean, you experienced last summer, and I'm sure everyone watching, it was a very uncomfortable summer, and just the nature of the beast of that amazing building with that masonry, it's whatever the temperature is in that, it stays in. So if it's hot, it's hot. If it's cold, it's cold. And you know, you have to wait till the heat works. You have to wait till our portable AC works, and it was just a very uncomfortable.
Each kid with a fan didn't work, huh?
No, it was. I mean, we had kids, families not come to summer camp on some of those really brutal days because of the heat that they knew that the kids were going to be in, and we had some rental groups cancel because it was a pretty bad summer, and the summer before was much like the one that we just experienced. So, and like I said, it also helps with the integrity of the building. I mean, we want these new materials to last, and it needs the right type of HVAC system.
And there again, I mean, the price of that air conditioning system was ridiculous. But, you know, and you just sit there and say, okay, how much are we going to spend for air conditioning? But again, town meeting stands up and says, okay, once they understood that the kids can't live in 90-degree, humid air.
Nope.
So step 1 was the air conditioning, and then this year, come fall,
dehumidification in the basement.
and that should, what will that do for us?
So the dehumidification, like these, will also work as almost like as an AC for 2 of the rooms. But with 2 of the rooms, because they're fitness rooms, you need the proper type of air exchange. So it's not, you can't have an AC system. You need a system that has fresh air coming in a different manner. So for the weight room and for the dance room, which the dance room is through a grant, so we're going to be able to finish that shortly. We need the right system in there, and that's why it's separate. And then in the rest of the basement, which we have the batting cages, storage, and the boxing room and the boiler room, we need just a dehumidification because it just gets stuffy down there, and we just don't want things to get ruined. And and I think it will also help with the upstairs because it's sitting right below all the gym floor and all the other floors.
It
So
permeates up.
exactly, yeah. So it's the right thing to do for just the maintenance of the building and to keep it the way we all want to see it remain.
So, Mr. Igor, what do you like the best? What program do you use the most?
That's tough.
The dinner program.
Yes. Nutrition. Nutrition is hosted by Amanda. And we go there, and every month there's like a special topic that we do, for our food.
Junk food June.
Yeah, junk food June. That's my favorite. And we go there. All the kids that go up there, we eat. I mean, first of all, we make the food. Then we get to try.
You make the food?
Yeah, we
Prepare it.
Yeah, prepare it. Depending on what it is, my favorite, which I've been dying to do, is this like hot fudge thing with pineapples. You dip the pineapples in with the hot fudge. It's delicious.
Subtle, Igor.
Wait a minute, what kind of brasileiro are you that you're not saying feijoada? I mean, come on. Your mother's going to be sitting there saying, of all the wonderful Brazilian foods, he's saying hot fudge.
Yeah. But it's really fun.
Do you learn anything in that class?
Yes. Before we start, we like get a little bit of facts about the ingredients and like what type of, if it's like vegetables, fruits. Learn if it's a vegan food or not, and then we prepare it, and then we eat it.
You know about vegan food?
Yes.
I was going to say, when I grew up in the Portuguese community, the word vegan, nobody even understood. You know, if you told my mother I was a vegan, or this person's a vegan, you know, it'd be like that big fat Greek wedding. What do you mean you don't eat meat? Okay, we give you lamb.
Yeah. Brazilians, like, we only eat meat. Like, that's just meat.
Portuguese aren't much further away from that.
I'm Portuguese, and my dad makes chicken every single night.
I grew up with my dad, and we had steak and potatoes.
Yeah.
My mother used to get mad, saying, "Don't you guys want something?" I said, "We had French fries last night. We have baked potatoes tonight. We have boiled potatoes tomorrow. It's all different food." And what do you like best?
I like the boxing program.
The boxing program. You get hit.
It's tough. Usually it's just doing boxing, like the punching bags and speed bags and shadow boxing. Is usually there's not much like actually boxing people.
That's good.
Yeah.
You show up home all beat up, they're going to wonder what you're doing at the youth. Now tell me about AmeriCorps.
So AmeriCorps is basically like a domestic version of Peace Corps. So basically, how would you describe this, Jen? It's a little...
Yeah, so I was an AmeriCorps member. That's how I kind of started in Milford. So you commit to a year of service, and how ours is organized, it's through an organization called Social Capital based out of Woburn. And they hire the AmeriCorps members for different locations. So there's Dorchester, Lowell, Fall River, Milford. And they place the AmeriCorps members in those locations, and then they monthly get training for leadership skills. And their main mission is to be able to build a youth leadership group so that they're promoting civic engagement with youth. And so Marissa joined us in September, and she's going to do a year of service. We're hoping for 2. You can do up to 2 years. And it's actually paid through this grant. So we write a grant, we get awarded the AmeriCorps member, and then they get paid a stipend from the federal government for the AmeriCorps service. And then she can also receive an educational award at the end of her service that she can use for either furthering her education or to pay off student loans or some things in the past. So it's a great opportunity.
So where are you originally from?
So I'm actually from Webster.
Very far away.
Which is, it's about 45 minutes away. So my commute every morning is, I have to leave at like 9 to get here for 10.
Well, the first thing you have to do is learn how to say the lake that you fish on your side.
She knows it.
We fish on our side, nobody fish in middle.
Yep. Lake Charagagagog, Manchagagog, Javanagagамag.
Gesundheit. My daughter can say that because we have friends up on the lake.
Exactly.
It's the longest lake name in the Western Hemisphere.
Well done.
Yeah, I just remember that it meant you fish on your side of the lake, I fish on my side, nobody fish in the middle.
Yep.
And somehow that all comes under that title.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Evie,
Oh, hi there.
so tell us, what do you like best about the youth center?
Okay. There's a lot of things. I really like the boxing program. I know you said it, but like it's pretty dope.
You're boxing?
Yeah, I'm boxing.
She tried to punch me in the face once.
We don't
I don't think that's part of the program.
No, all supervised.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't
Poor
actually.
Jen is cringing. He's on TV saying he's getting punched.
No, but it's really fun. Like you get to exercise but have fun at the same time. Like you get to be with your friends. I love that program a lot. And other programs I've done in the past, like CrossFit and nutrition. Like nutrition, you said, oh my God, the food, so good. I really like it.
Common denominator is food.
I was going to say, I mean, somehow at their age, food.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also like the
Unhealthy
boxing
food.
program because they get fruit after it, so just food motivated again.
And that, the boxing program, I just want to, I mean, it's how these programs get started, so community driven, which is so awesome. We had somebody, I mean, it's been my dream since we had the renovation completed to get the boxing program up and running again, because it was a popular program prior to the renovation, and we just didn't have an instructor, and we didn't have all the equipment, and it just didn't make sense.
Well, how could you fit it in a little house on Congress Street?
Well, that's true, but I'm saying like we didn't have it accessible even after, so with the renovated space, because we had the space dedicated to it, but we didn't have the equipment and we didn't have the instructors going back into the new building. So it didn't make sense financially to go spend money yet until we could get it off the ground. So one day in October, we had a gentleman come in with a check for $1,400 for us. Unfortunately, it was a Milford resident who had passed away, and they had a golf tournament on his behalf, and they wanted to, the family decided to donate it to the youth center. So it was like, we were very appreciative that they thought of us. It was a Ruggiero family. And then we were able to purchase all the equipment because that very day, or that very next day, we had 2 individuals come in who wanted to volunteer their time with boxing experience to run a program. No connection.
Literally just happened, just like that.
Now they volunteer their time. It's Mark
Castiglione.
and I don't want to say it, the school resource officer and police officer in town, and Shelton Soto, who volunteer their time 2 days a week to run this program.
Sometimes 3.
Sometimes 3, yep. And the kids just love it. And they have state-of-the-art equipment now, and they get to do the program, and they get to have the fruit, like Amanda was saying, and it's just grown. I mean, last time I did a report for the chief, I think in October, and we had 34 unduplicated youth doing that program, and it's grown probably way past where we had to separate the ages now and have different programs because of how popular it is. So it's just a really cool opportunity to share what the community has been able to do for this center. It's not,
I think at this point, you're over the hump where people, they trust your credibility. We no longer have to say unduplicated youth.
I feel like I have to.
They're just youths. It's all the youths show up. I mean, in the early days, we were worried that, you know, you had some kid circling the building coming in 4 times to change. But I think anybody who drives by, I mean, the image now is beautiful. It's not the broken front doors that were boarded up.
You know where those are now?
No.
They're a part of a tree that we had a local artist, Mary Onesian, make on the stage. So we have this nice, beautiful tree. It's a nice focal point in the gym.
Oh, how cool. So now, do you still have the academic programs during the year?
Yep. Amanda, you want to talk about those a little bit?
Yeah, so nutrition is a big one, and I would consider that academic. We try our best to really teach balance, like Igor was saying. What do you call it in June?
In June, oh yeah, junk
food June.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the only time during the year that they really and truly get junk food. Every week I try to make sure that they have an actual nutritious snack that they're able to prepare. So last week we made pico de gallo, and the week before that we did guacamole. So things that I think they'll eat or that they aren't necessarily trying at home. Or even Igor walked in and he was like, I am not eating guacamole. That is disgusting.
And then I ate so
And
much
then
of
he
it.
ate, yeah, I ate like an entire
He wouldn't
bowl.
let me eat any of it. Like, I kept on trying to take, like, the bowl of chips. He just kept on taking it away.
But then we also offer free tutoring, which has kind of hit the ground running pretty quickly in the recent, what would you say, month or two.
Yeah.
We've had 3 tutors come in the doors for more than 9 kids. So that's a great opportunity where if parents cannot afford a tutor for their kid, or if the kid just is struggling and wants some extra help, we always have that available.
But what kind of programs are you tutoring in?
So I will call a volunteer retired teacher who has expressed interest in wanting to help a child do better in school, and then I will try and match them up with the child based on what subject they need help in, what their learning style is, what the tutor's teaching style is, and really try and get a good match for the kids so that they can excel or catch up depending on what they're there for. But we also have homework help every week for an hour, which one of the high school students, Alex Goldberg, will come in and the kids can sign up on our screen and he'll help them with any homework they need help with, or if they want to study for a test or get a paper started. And he's awesome, so he's always helping with that
So
stuff
really,
too.
it's not like you only have English teachers or
Nope.
Soc teachers, well, not Soc, but geography teachers.
Whatever the kid needs help in or the child needs help in, we try and cater to that subject. So whether it be Spanish, math, science, English, what is it called, ELA?
ELA, yeah.
ELA, reading, whatever it may be, we try and find a tutor that can help them with their struggles.
So do we have a lot of kids who take advantage of ELA programs?
Yeah, we do. We have there's like a good amount of kids, like every time they come in, they're like struggling, or just needs help in general. They just go on the screen, sign up for tutoring. They go into the game room, sit down, and the tutor helps them. They always come out like smart.
We also
Poof,
have
they call it smart.
we also have the quiet zone where like it's where you
Don't
want.
tell me they let you in there.
I was banned. No, but the kids they get a place to do their homework because like the youth center's really loud. You got kids running around everywhere, basketballs bouncing. You got kids playing, I don't know, whatever. But it's just like a place in the computer room where you get to just do your work. There's also a computer room, if you didn't know. It's pretty awesome.
There's a program for that.
Well, it's expanded because when the youth center first started, if you remember, I got the phone call from your predecessor saying, we don't have any cable coming to the youth center. And I had to call Comcast and grovel and say, come on, you can give us one cable, just one little cable into the youth center. And good old Frank Foss came through back then. Somehow it was, okay, but don't you tell anybody, because every town will want free cable for their youth programs.
Now you just told everybody, yeah.
Oh, now it's too late. He's gone. This was 10 years ago. You know, and I told him, I'm sorry, I only care about my kids. I only care about the kids in Milford. Every other town's on their own. So what do you use from the academic side?
What do I use?
Yeah.
Me? I don't really use a tutoring the help for, yeah.
He's a very good student.
I am an amazing student. Take it from me, don't ask my teachers. But if I do need any help, I could always come to the youth center. Like, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be somebody.
Well, I think it's cool that you've got kids coming in that don't have English skills as their primary.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there were kids in Milford when I grew up, who walked out of the house and said, what are these kids speaking?
Yeah.
What is this language? Because I grew up, you know, it wasn't until my darling bride came home when I met my wife and she came to my house and said, do you ever speak to your parents in English? And I was like, of course. No. You know, I mean, we never spoke anything but Portuguese. My mother passed away a few months ago. And to that day, at 94 years old, The only time she'd speak English is when Americans were around who didn't speak Portuguese. You know, so I was one of those kids who walked out of my house in the Heights, and all of a sudden it's like they're speaking a funny language. Why can't these kids speak Portuguese?
It's really nice, actually. Jen's done a couple tours for the English as a Second Language program at the middle school. They took the group of the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students that are primarily Spanish and Portuguese speaking to come see the youth center, because they may have not heard in the communication that this was there for them to be offered. And we actually get our registration form translated in Spanish and in Portuguese as well, too, so that the families can kind of understand, too, more about our program.
Well, that was always the hardest thing, and the thing I always ask of the schools. My father was a typical Portuguese father. He didn't understand any English, but if somebody told him you have to go to the school to support your son, he put on his jacket, he put on his little hat, and down he went to the school, and he sat there, complete oblivion, had no idea what was going on. But he knew somehow that he was supposed to be there to support me. And as silly as it sounded, when I'm looking out and I see him and my mom, it really did feel good. Even though I knew they had no idea what was going on. But they were there. You know, you just felt. Now, I know you speak some Brazilian.
See.
And we got some Brazilian there.
Yeah, I do.
Do we have any Portuguese in Senor Soares?
No.
What?
Not yet?
Maybe, yes. Okay.
So you can help the kids acclimate a little easier who don't speak English.
Yeah. Sometimes I give tours to people who like only speak Portuguese or something like that.
Yeah, we rely. I can get by with Spanish, but the I don't know Portuguese,
Barely.
Unfortunately. Barely.
Oh my God, I remember this one time where you were trying to speak in Spanish to this family, and I felt so bad for you because you were trying so hard.
Probably because they didn't speak Spanish, they probably spoke Portuguese. But the Portuguese, I can't communicate at all, so we rely on the kids or some of the parents to sometimes help us. So that's we'd love to have some Portuguese staff.
You're not the only one. When I first came back to Milford, we went to Mass. And God bless Father Zeke, he had a heart of gold. But I looked at my mother and I said, God, is my Portuguese bad? I can't understand the word he's saying. And my mother looked at me and says, none of us can either, but he's a nice guy and he's trying. He was a Spanish priest trying to speak Portuguese.
Oh, no.
And it was like, I thought my Portuguese had deteriorated. And she goes, none of us can either, but he's a nice man and he's trying, so don't upset him.
That's nice.
And especially now when you start thinking, we're 5,000 between the Portuguese and the Brazilian in Milford? A little over 5,000?
Wow.
It's only been recently that we're getting a lot more Spanish speaking.
Yes.
And I don't count your mother's side of the family with the Puerto Rican. They speak too quickly for me. I can get away in Spanish as long as it's Castilian. It's slow, it's deliberate. When I used to go down to the island, you know, people were being nice to you. They'd look at you, they'd slow down. They'd turn around, talk to each other, and
Could keep up.
oh no, I'm lost. It was gone.
I feel that way all the time. Oh my God. I know that she's talking bad about me because she's doing it as fast as possible. So like.
No, don't say that. Mothers never speak bad. Now, summer program. That's been a big part of the youth center. Tell us about summer program.
So we transition basically a week after the after-school program ends, after July 4th week, and we transition into a paid summer camp program. We try to keep it affordable, but it includes 8 to 4 care, full with breakfast, lunch, and 3 field trips. So 3 field trips a week, and then extended day option from 4 to 5.
But now, realistically, you say it's paid, but they're not really paying full price.
No, so last year we had it $150 a week, which included the full week. So it's basically a little $30-something a day.
With food, with trips.
With trips, yep. And we still provide scholarships if the need is there. We usually get that from local banks and the Rotary Club, and that's how we're able to provide those scholarships. But that's where we always try to keep it affordable. And I mean, if you can't really argue with $30 a day for full day care and food and trips.
I mean, just feeding Igor would be $30.
And Jay's Classic Barbershop does a Help the Youth tournament in November every year, and the money that he raises from the teams he provides to us to help with kids who can't afford for summer camp.
You know, and that's always been a Milford thing. I remember, you know, the kids were talking about Nature's Classroom and 8th grade trip to Washington. I was really proud that no child got turned away because of financial need. If a child couldn't afford to go, somehow they always found the money to go. And, you know, that's all about Milford. Well, that's AmeriCorps.
All about service, yeah.
You think about your building service. You know, what do you do that's most fun?
Youth council's definitely, there's never a dull moment with them.
Especially
these
with
kids?
Igor.
Yeah, especially with Igor. Yeah, there's never a dull moment with them. They're really fun. They're really cool to hang out with and stuff.
Yeah, we know.
It's family. Yeah. We do like a lot of events that.
And modest.
Yeah, super modest.
Thank you.
Too.
See why we brought
super
that.
humble. But yeah, we do like you know, community events that are super fun. We did like Santa Parade, and we did the Veterans Day Parade, and you know, we'll be doing a few more in the future. And they're always a big help around. So.
Well, you know, I always love when we get the youths involved in things like the Veterans Day Parade or Memorial Day. Because you start teaching them that it's not all about me. You know, I mean, we always talk about making sure that Milford is as affordable as possible. Because it's too easy to forget that a lot of the people who built Milford, the reason we're here is fathers, grandparents, but now some of them are living on $1,200 a month, $1,400 a month, Social Security. So you got to remember that you owe these people. Milford wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for our seniors. You know, and let's face it, there's some people in Milford that do a little better than others. So if you can help the ones, I mean, we're all going to need help somewhere. You know, my grandfather came here in 1939, and he had $32.80 in his pocket, and that was it. And somehow the people of Milford helped him get situated and helped him bring my mother over. And it's just been a tradition of paying back. As you look forward, what do you think the biggest challenges are for the Youth Center?
Dealing with Igor.
Oh,
Sorry.
you're going to say too much money and not enough to spend it on?
No, that never will be an issue with us. The biggest challenge, I mean, I think we always are working to continue our programming and increase it and expand it. But I think the biggest thing is just we would eventually like to have our full-time staff being covered by the town. I think that's just our biggest kind of.
I was going to say, she's waving, saying, "That's me."
And then I always tell them I was the program coordinator too, and so it's not a burden that they should take.
Well, we started with it was the fungus principle, one spore, and then it grew because it was. If you think about it, back it was half of the director, and that's all we funded.
Yep.
And you know, Jay and a few of the people were always on us saying, "You need to fund our utilities." And then we got a full-time director funded. Wow. You know, and then a director and an assistant.
I know.
So it's been little by little.
Oh yeah, and we're grateful, and we know it's, you know, we have to wait our turn, and we have to take, you know, when the town is ready for it. But I think if you were asking the biggest challenge, I think that would allow us to free up more part-time staff, and even expand more programming and things like that. But other than that, I mean, I think what we've been able to do as a staff with the kids in the last 2.5 years since the renovation it's pretty amazing to see. I mean, I was showing Katie pictures of our basement a year and a half ago, and people wanted to come in after the renovation. I was like, what? Why wasn't this, like, it looked the same, and it wasn't part of the scope. And now it looks like it's part of the renovation because we had these amazing companies like Benjamin Moore come out, and then Milford Softball, Milford Baseball, Synovian Bank, Synovian Pharmaceuticals, excuse me, from a Day of Caring. They all took over parts of that basement, and it looks like a brand new basement now, and now with the boxing room as well. And then the same with the outside landscaping. That wasn't part of the renovation. And we had 3 companies, Consigli, Nydam Landscaping, and ADP Bellingham, donate $30,000 for the landscaping in the front. So the entire building is almost complete, and that's kind of the second largest challenge, is to just finish off all of these projects that weren't part of the renovation so that we can have all the building space and all the programs being run adequately. So.
You turn around and you say, we're going to have a dehumidifier, that's another $100 grand this year. What else do you need in the youth center?
Oh God, you're on camera too, huh? I mean, our ultimate largest item that we're going to look for down the road is something for the gym. We do need something in the gym for air quality, but that's on our.
For the basketball court? Ouch.
It's not AC though. It's a different type of air quality system, but that's our long-term hopeful goal. But that's on our capital planning, to get an engineer to see what the possibilities are, and then to map out if it's a possibility or not. But that's our largest item in the future. But.
And for rentals, is there anything we need?
Endless possibilities. Yeah, I need about 3 more basketball courts.
Town needs 3 more basketball.
I know.
I was going to say.
I know, because they all share this one in the schools. I mean, right now, it's a good flow of, we have rentals upstairs, while we have rentals downstairs at the cages, while we have somebody renting an office, conference room. So, I mean, I'm good at juggling.
And how about our academic programs?
Well, we're really grateful to Milford Regional Hospital because they actually fund some of our fitness programs. So without them, we wouldn't be able to have programs like Fit Camp, which is an exercise class, or Dance Jam, which hopefully someday we'll be able to take over the dance room and really put that to good use. As far as what we need, we love volunteers that come in who are passionate and who want to run a program. Like our boxing coaches, I mean, there's nothing better than having a volunteer run a program that wants to be there and who loves being there. The kids feed off of it, and it's just a great environment.
Well, there's a lot of people in Milford that are semi-retired or retired that have skills. If you were to think of a couple programs you would love to have somebody call you and say, I can do that, what would they be?
Boy.
We're starting science.
Yeah, a science club. Waters Corp had mentioned they'd be interested in helping us with a science program, which is great. So we're going to try and get them on the calendar. For the meantime, Marissa will run it.
And the music room. The music
and
space.
then we would love to get someone who is passionate about music in the near future, when the music room is done, to teach our kids some new skills.
Well, Milford's always had a tradition, you know, going back to the Boots Mazzulli days and on, about a strong music program. I mean, you've got people like me who, any instrument I touch has the same melody. It sounds like you're pulling the tail off a small farm animal. I just have zero music ability. So I can always appreciate when somebody can sit down and actually make whatever that thing is, the guitar, you know, whatever it is, because it doesn't like me, you know, make music.
We've been very thankful for Milford TV because the last 2 years they've helped put on this awesome fundraiser, a telethon fundraiser for us, that we're using the funds to finish a music space in our basement for us.
Yeah, and they're not shy about putting the arm on people, because I got the call.
What happened?
Well, I got the call from Liz that said, would your company, now I'm working for a company in New Hampshire.
They like kids.
Yeah, but they like New Hampshire kids. And said, would your company sponsor?
There's a Milford in New Hampshire?
Could have twisted it.
She started, would your company sponsor this part of it? And I said, nah, that won't happen. 10 minutes later, I get a call. Rob wants to know if you would sponsor.
They did the dirty work for us.
And I was like, what am I going to say? No?
It's for the youths.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I could just see if I said no, the next thing would be Evie would be calling me. You know, you'd have the kids calling you saying,
Ooh,
Have you ever
good
start
idea.
kid cold calling?
Yeah, we'll go too.
How
there
can
may
you say
be
no?
rules against that. I mean, the child labor laws may get in the way of putting kids to work.
It's volunteer hours.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what we'll call it.
But you know, the science piece too. I mean, Milford's got a lot of strong science people.
Well, I know, so we had Bob Gilmore, who's a teacher at the schools. He does a fishing program with the kids, and he might, he was interested in potentially doing some science programs too. So we did it last year with our actual former AmeriCorps member, Tori, and the kids loved it. So we wanted to continue it. In the meanwhile, we'll have her. But yeah, if there's anyone in the community that would be willing to step up and help with that.
I mean, I can think of people who would, if you had an idea, you know, to say, look, this is how we're going to teach the kids chemistry. Or this is how, you know, people like me who are old chemists would be happy to volunteer. I just don't know how to start.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain things like English skills that, that's my youngest once told me when I said, you want me to help you grade, you know, edit the paper? She goes, Dad, you have the grammar skills of a dead bovine. I'm like, oh, okay. No wonder you want your mother to do this. Comes down to chemistry or math. You know, if somebody tells me what the kids need, because to me, I don't think they'd want to learn the organic chemistry I love.
But we're trying to, like, you have a couple fun
Yeah,
ideas.
we have a
It's like
couple-
projects, creating things.
Yeah,
and
like
so.
kid-friendly stuff, like slime, you know,
Slive.
That's not one. You have some other ones.
elephant toothpaste. That was
Elephant toothpaste.
Yeah.
It's that big
Be careful,
foam
Ego's
thing.
going to eat it. He's
I don't
already
think it's
hungry.
actual
Not
toothpaste.
edible.
It brushes
not
teeth.
edible. It is not edible.
It like burns your skin if you touch it.
Yeah.
But
So
you know,
don't-
I can see if you have some
We're not doing that
ideas
kind.
to say, hey, look, the kids are going into high school or they're in high school, they're just starting chemistry. Could we get people to come down and work with us? You get old chemists. I mean, you know, working with the kids would be a fun thing to do.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
so you get a lot
So
of
you're
people.
volunteering?
You lay it out, I'll be there.
We'll come up with a chemist project.
You know,
I think one of the biggest things for volunteers is if you have any sort of interest at all, just to come down or give us a call. I'm always happy to talk to whoever wants to help out our kids. So whether it be chemistry, math, or they just want to run a fun program like arts and crafts, who we actually have a staff member running right now, but something of
yeah,
that
you wouldn't
nature,
want me
then-
running arts and crafts. It'd be like me running a music program. Do it all. My painting skills, I can say that whether I'm painting with paintbrush in my toe or my hand, it'll look the same. Jackson Pollock, yeah, that would be what I would look like. Anything you want to leave the community as a final word?
Oh, we want to talk about
Yeah,
our
let's
March
do a
fundraiser.
fundraiser.
So we just started in the planning parts, but we have set a date of Friday, March 29th at Craft Roots Brewing again, like we did last year. It was a huge success, a lot of fun, a really good night to have the adults who are part of the youth center, whether it be a rental group, parents of our after-school members. We really like to try to include everybody so that they can come and kind of celebrate and support what the kids are actually being a part of. It's one of our biggest fundraisers, and Craft Roots is awesome to work with us and let us use the space for such
And you
a
don't
great
have
night.
to be part of the youth center.
No, anybody
If
in
you
the
just
community.
love Milford kids
Yep.
and you want to help, show up on March 29th.
Yep.
Yep.
Details to come soon.
Even if you don't love kids and you just want a night out.
Well, thank you for turning the Milford Youth Center into what it is. Guys, thanks for coming and sharing.
You're welcome.
And as always, to our 6 loyal viewers, it's an incredible place. I mean, you know, people who grew up here in Milford and remember that Monday nights was ball hockey night in the Armory and how cold it was that we had to put on 3 sweaters because they wouldn't, the National Guard wouldn't turn on the heat. They gave us the court, but that was it. Now to see what it was, and if you ever could have seen Melange, the place was fairy tale. It was just superb. But as always, may God bless. May tomorrow be a better night than tonight. Thanks for joining.
Not too long since I've been home.